The UN to provide emergency support for Dominica's agriculture. Recent heavy rain triggers resurgence in Black Sigatoka, and Dominican students at UE campuses in the region receive post-Erica support. I am Lurian Graham Carter with the Channel 5 News. Details coming up. In the news, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to provide emergency support of US $300,000 to Dominica. Program Officer of the FAO, Anthony Kelman, made the announcement at a national consultation for the formulation of the country programming framework on Tuesday. Kelman says the funds will support restoration efforts for agriculture productivity in Dominica.
These resources have been assigned to support the efforts of the government and the recovery of the country. We are happy to see that the government is focusing its attention in the medium and long term on agriculture development, and we congratulate the government for what we understand was a very successful dialogue which occurred on Tuesday.
Meanwhile, Kelman says the country programming framework, CPF, is timely since it comes to an end in December, and a new one for the next 4 years is expected to begin in January 2016. The CPF is a government FAO-agreed program of assistance to support the country in its national development. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture called the consultation a timely event since the passage of the storm affected the agriculture industry.
The country programming framework is essentially an agreement which sets out government priority areas in which FAO will partner with Government of Dominica in its efforts to achieve national agricultural and rural development objectives over the next 4 years. Erica has left us with some critical decisions to make in relation to our food systems, utilization of natural resources, particularly the land, our management of risk and climate change.
Gist says the CPF presents the opportunity to identify critical priority areas in the agricultural landscape in Dominica. Head of the Plant Protection and Quarantine Unit, Ryan Ansem, has revealed that the increased intensity of rain has caused an increase in Black Sigatoka. In an interview with Channel 5 News, Ansem says bananas as well as the scale insects have suffered from the heavy rains brought on most recently by tropical storms and waves. He says that they will increase the amount of time spent with farmers because of the effects of Erica.
So we're asking the farmers to continue to do the sanitation practices. It is important to do the de-leafing and to continue in the sanitation and continue in the management of Black Sigatoka.
Ansem says they are still encouraging farmers to continue their work since the European Union, under the banana accompanying measures BAM, is investing in the crop.
We know that the market, the Antigua, St. Martin, St. Kitts, and Montserrat, they are interested in our bananas. They like the quality of our bananas. So again, our OECS sisters and regional partners are working with us, FAO, CADI, to see how best we enhance the management strategy for banana.
Meanwhile, Ansem says the recent passage of Tropical Storm Erica has also negatively impacted their biological control program. In June, the Plant Protection and Quarantine Unit released information that the scale insect had been affecting more than 30 types of plants in Dominica. The scale insect deforms fruits and prevents them from completing their growth cycle. It was initially found at La Plaine and the Botanic Gardens in 2014. Through research and assistance from the FAO and CABI, the unit had identified 2 natural enemies of the insect, which they had imported and placed at the affected locations.
Our recent assessment has seen a reduction in the parasitoids, and this is mainly because of the intensity of the rainfall. Positively, though, we have seen a decrease in the scale population. So the rain will decrease your natural enemies, it will also decrease the pests.
ANSEM says they've engaged the FAO and the Caribbean Agricultural Bureau International (CABI) to see how best to multiply what's left of the natural enemies.
We've sent one of our officers or frontline officers to be trained in surveillance and multiplying of these natural enemies. So what we will see is an increase in the multiplication of our predators, not only to control the scales, but our program is mainly focused on how best we can reduce the quantity of toxic chemicals that can be harmful to our bees, our fishes, and even humans.
Still in agriculture, Chief Veterinarian with the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Reginald Thomas, says the abattoir to be commissioned soon will reduce the over $18 million import bill for pork and poultry. Dr. Thomas addressed the Farmers Forum on Tuesday, where he gave an update on the status of the abattoir and what it will mean for Dominica. Dr. Thomas says 2006 to 2012 saw an upward trend in the import of meat. He says currently Dominica is importing nearly 14 million in poultry and up to 5 million in pork and pork products.
We have just imported over 2,000 day-old chicks. They came in Friday and yesterday we got another set. These birds are going to be reared. They are being reared by farmers, and in 6 weeks we would have tested that abattoir and to be ready for production. So the opportunity there that exists as it relates to farmers in terms of getting on board on the program, producing to meet the requirements of that abattoir.
Dr. Thomas says the ministry stands ready to support that project with training and certification.
We're going to be doing the targeting of farmers, looking at farmers who are at a particular capacity. The ability to compete again is critical, and so we are not going to be able to do all and every farmer. We will need to target our production, expand the production to meet the market demands.
He says there are other areas in the livestock sector they have addressed to assist farmers.
We know that there are still issues relating to the feed, and government has introduced fiscal incentives in the form of removal of VAT and import duties, all as a means of becoming more competitive, lowering the price, the cost of production, and to make us a little bit more competitive.
Dr. Thomas says the ministry is working on the marketing strategy to ensure that there are fewer shortfalls in that sector. Meantime, the abattoir has the capacity to slaughter 50 pigs a day and up to 500 birds an hour. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit calls on personnel within the Ministry of Agriculture to be more accountable with their record keeping. The Prime Minister was addressing farmers and other stakeholders in agriculture. The dialogue on agriculture held on Tuesday was a post-Erica strategy. Mr. Skerrit says that the ministry and staff of agriculture need to be more active in the delivery of its duties.
We have to be able to supply the data required on exactly how many acres of X amount of things we have planted. Who are the farmers? Where are they located? So we have that information readily available.
The Prime Minister says he has found too often relevant information is not more forthcoming.
How are we going to know our capacity to supply the external markets if we do not have a database? Where has AIMS gone? The government invests in a number of programs along with our partners, and they just disappear. So I think we have to put on the table, Mr. Permanent Secretary and Mr. Director of Agriculture, all of these programs that we have invested in. What is the status of those investments? What is the status of those programs? And to see which ones we can revive and resuscitate to make a contribution.
He says the agriculture programs are all part of a strategy, and if elements of these are not carried out, this could lead to difficulties.
I mean, the farmers are doing their part. I mean, it is difficult work. The issue of farm labor must be spoken about. Nobody spoke about farm labor. There's no way we can survive as farmers with the level of lack of productivity and understanding from those who provide labor on the farm.
Meantime, the Prime Minister encouraged farmers to form farmers groups in their communities, as others have done, to share experiences and knowledge. On to health now. The expense and risk of blindness will be a weight lifted off the shoulder of glaucoma patients seeking care in the public health system. This as the West Virginia University Eye Institute has donated $8,000 in eye drops for glaucoma and other eye medication to the Ministry of Health. A team from the West Virginia University Eye Institute has been conducting a study of patients suffering with glaucoma hair.
I contacted P.S. Royer, and she sent me a letter of invitation to help, and I went to all of the pharmaceutical companies that I deal with in the United States, and they were more than generous at giving us drops for you folks. A lot of the girls I work with wanted to do things, so we also brought a few little school supplies to help the schools and stuff, and we still have some more at home yet to bring. We haven't got it all down here yet. But hopefully it will benefit you people. Everybody has welcomed us so well down here doing our research that it's wonderful. So we would like to give back as much as we can.
The worst case scenario for one with glaucoma is loss of vision. It's a condition which causes damage to your eye's optic nerve and gets worse over time. The two major categories of glaucoma are open-angle glaucoma and narrow-angle glaucoma. Most glaucoma patients here are elderly. Eye doctor Hazel Schlinford Ricketts told the ceremony she also contacted her overseas partners to get free medication for patients following Storm Erica.
If we have to prevent one from getting blind from glaucoma, we have to treat them before they get blind. And most of the treatment is eye drops to lower the eye pressure. If the eye drops don't work, then there is laser treatment. And if this don't work, then there is trabeculectomy, where I have to go in with my surgical knife and make an alternative route to drain the fluid from the eye. But the aim of the treatment is always to lower the eye pressure to prevent additional damage to the nerves and as a result, blindness. I am still working and hoping that Monday government will be able to provide those eye drops free of charge.
Like hypertension and diabetes, glaucoma is a chronic disease. This means its victims suffer with it for life, and with that, the burden of buying eye medication every month.
The hospital have tried to assist in the patients in lowering the cost. So they will provide the eye drops at cost price. So some of them are $50 and some of them are $30. But you still have to come up with that money every month to purchase the eye drops. In the private pharmacy, some of the eye drops can go up as much as $120 a month. After the ceremony, we will be distributing to the various health centers in Dominica, and so the persons who normally buy their medications at central medical stores, they can now go to their health centers to get those eye drops free of charge, as long as the supply remains.
Coming up, UWI's role in Dominica's post-Erica efforts. Welcome back. The University of the West Indies is one of the entities which has come on board to help Dominica in its post-Erica recovery efforts.
This educational institution has helped Dominica in numerous areas since the storm. Campus sites in Trinidad, Barbados, and Jamaica, and off-campus sites in other Caribbean countries have been lending a hand to Dominica.
A number of campuses and sites respond by providing relief supplies to Dominica, and all our students who were affected by Tropical Storm Erica have been able to receive direct aid in that venture. The principal's office is also involved in preparing a project to help with a school that has been affected by Tropical Storm Erica. Of course, everybody knows that in Barbados 2 weeks ago, we had the Rally Round Dominica cricket match, and that has raised a lot of funds, and that was an initiative of the UWI as well.
Several Dominicans are currently studying at UE campuses around the region, and the educational institution has been understanding towards the plight of the students.
Also, Cave Hill decided to defer the tuition costs for the entire year for Dominicans. So Dominican students at Cave Hill will begin to pay for this academic year next year. So that also has gone a long way in helping our Dominican students to cope with the financial strain that their families would have suffered during the passage of the tropical storm. For us here at the Open Campus site, we are planning a alumni dinner, alumni and friends dinner and dance on the 14th of November, and some of the proceeds of that will go to the children of Good Hope, San Sauvé and Petit Soufriere who were affected by Tropical Storm Erica.
Immediately following the tropical storm, a task force from the UWI was on island to participate in consultations with the government on the recovery efforts.
While the principals of 2 Western schools say a shift system is working well, loitering of students out of school hours is a concern. Idona John Baptist has more.
The Salisbury and Kulibistri primary schools are among 6 primary schools on a shift system following Tropical Storm Erica. They are sharing space at the Salisbury School building. The Kulibistri primary school building has not been able to house classes since the storm. The student population stands at 40, as due to the storm, 6 students are no longer attending Kulibistri Primary.
So far we've been able to do not everything that we planned. Okay, most times we have been able to do at least 3 subjects per day. Okay? Some teachers can do 4, but most times 3. And something we noticed from the time that we came in the afternoon, they're sort of tired and drowsy. Even the bigger ones, they're sleepy. So we have to do certain things to wake them up. And we want to encourage the parents that during the morning time that they can sit with their children and ensure that they sit and rest, okay, for some time before they come here.
The afternoon shift system has taken away an hour of class time from the Kulibistri Primary School. Normally, school hours would have run from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
As I was coming on the bus, I was thinking about the parents. I know some of them leave for work at 8 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock, and some of the children are alone at home. So I've had complaints with the children, especially of Mon Ratchet. They walk up and down for the whole morning, walk up and down in the village because there's no supervision. If there's a grandmother or an aunt, that person cannot do too much when the mother is out working. So there are some advantages and disadvantages to the transition or to the new system that we have here.
In the meantime, 2 U.S. non-profit organizations are mobilizing resources to help Kulibistri School recover.
We're getting some help from some overseas organizations. And what I'm doing, I have the library locked, so anything that they would send, okay, we plan to put it in here. Some persons plan to send in computers. Some books are on the way from Hands Across the Sea. There's a guy in the U.S. who plans to bring some computers. And there's a group who's coming here to Dominica on the 12th. And 13th, they'll be with Kulibistri Primary, bringing some stuff. And they plan to do some work. I encourage them to come and see what they can do, clean the surroundings a little more, do some painting, if they can fix the doors for us. Okay? They're willing to come to do that on the 12th and 13th of November.
Salisbury School's principal says the transition has been pretty smooth.
I'm not sure if it's quite like what in hours. It's about 30 minutes difference. But we have to understand during the full day system, it's so there's a 90-minute break. So actually it's about a 35 minutes difference. And on the average, it's about 5 minutes per lesson anyway. So I don't call it a loss, so much of a loss. But I think staff have adjusted quite smoothly. As a matter of fact, as I said, I look forward to this thing continuing for me. I prefer the 8-to-1 system, whereas you could do extracurricular work in the afternoon, you have more time to prepare, more time to relax as well. I can't complain. Yeah.
A major challenge for the school, however, is water interruptions, since Salisbury is being supplied by a temporary water system in the aftermath of the storm.
You would understand that our water system is a temporary system following Erica. And it is still so, because what we have, the catchment was completely destroyed. And the water is not the best for drinking. And that's not a secret for our village. So we depend heavily on the bottled water. The ministry has provided some of that, and we are still expecting to get some more from next year, probably this week or next week. But of course, we also have the issue of the interruption in the water supply. That affects the washrooms. For example, this morning, for the first 90 minutes, there was no water. So sometimes we have to, it's a little difficult and troublesome to operate that way. But we understand that the WASCO is working on this.
Meantime, education authorities are discussing with schools on a shift system how they can address their setbacks. On Thursday, the education officer for the Western District met with the staff of the Coolibistry and Salisbury primary schools.
I must commend both principals, especially Mr. Vidal, which is the receiving school, for really getting on board with the Ministry of Education and ensuring that everything is smooth sailing. From 8 o'clock, the Salisbury primary is here together with the preschool from Coolibistry. When the Coolibistry preschool is leaving at 12:30, then the Coolibistry primary school is coming in from 1 to 5. But all in all, we are getting there.
The shift system at Salisbury School began on the 28th of September.
We are strategically planning how we are going to make up for lost time. Okay, extra hours, a little extra homework, what we can do, parent involvement, and so as you notice today, I'm having a meeting with the Coolibistry staff. So we're going to be looking at all of that. And the Salisbury staff also is going to have a meeting with me. So we're going to look at all of that and how we're going to make up for lost time. But I can say I have confidence in my two principals and staff that we are going to achieve. We are looking at this as a ministry. At the time we're going to close school, to ensure that we make up for that lost time. So all that will be given out to the principals at the principals meeting, because the chief is working on that.
Director General of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, says the region is supporting Dominica's agriculture sector during its post-Erica period.
Dr. Didicus Jules was on island visiting communities severely affected by the tropical storm. Dominica's agriculture sector suffered damage exceeding $100 million due to the passage of the tropical storm. This serious blow affected the volume of produce being shipped to regional markets. A meeting of regional agriculture ministers was convened last week to ensure that Dominica does not lose its market share in the Caribbean because of below normal export volume.
What was agreed was that we would do everything possible to ensure that Dominica produce is able to continue to get to the Northern Caribbean markets like the USVI, BVI, Anguilla, and these places. So efforts are being made, and in discussions with the Prime Minister, he has made certain determinations that will ensure that that process is facilitated, because it is important, even while recovery is happening, to keep as much economic activity and stimulus going as possible.
The OECS Director General says the display of unity among OECS countries is strong and far-reaching.
From the moment this crisis happened in Dominica, all of the OECS heads have been in touch with each other, have been in touch with the Commission. Our chairman was very upfront in calling on the OECS member states to do whatever they could to assist in whatever way possible. And I think if ever there was a positive coming out of this crisis, it is the fact that OECS unity is more than just a political unity, is more than just a treaty thing. It is a real deep sense of brotherhood and solidarity and sisterhood between the islands of the OECS.
Dr. Jules says strides are being made to involve regional organizations in helping Dominica get back on its feet.
We will continue to do the best we can on all fronts to provide support and to facilitate the work of reconstruction as determined by the government. And the Prime Minister has asked us to play a role in helping to convene a meeting of donors. We already have a development partners consortium, all of the UN agencies, the World Bank, the IMF, etc., especially those based in Barbados. And we are going to be working closely with the government of Dominica to bring all of those persons to the table now that the assessment has been done, to look carefully and forensically at the work that has to be done in building back Dominica better and stronger.
15 women from the Bagatelle area have benefited from a donation of Dignity Kits. Andrea Louis has more.
The donation was made in observance of World Rural Women's Day on Thursday. World Rural Women's Day is a day declared by the United Nations to highlight the important contribution of rural women to food security, the preservation of rural life, and sustainable development of rural communities.
Rural women are one of the poorest groups of people, and their ability to rise out of poverty is challenged by several factors, including lack of land ownership, limited access to credit, and long working hours, which disrupts quality domestic care. This means that rural women are also more vulnerable to illness, economic shocks, natural disasters, and the effects of environmental degradation and climate change.
Thursday's handing over ceremony was organized by the Bureau of Gender Affairs through the Ministry of Social Services, Family and Gender Affairs. The Dignity Kits, comprising primarily of hygienic products, was made to rural women who were severely affected by the passage of Tropical Storm Erika.
Most recently, the Bureau received assistance and support from UN Women and UNFPA to respond to the affected communities in the relief and recovery efforts. We recognize that women play a vital role in disaster management and recovery, and there was need to enhance their capacities through the provision of Dignity Kits. We have also recognized the need for further efforts in responses that promote gender equality and the empowerment of women, and that strengthens the resilience of communities and reduces social vulnerabilities associated with disasters.
The local theme for this year's Rural Women's Day is Recovering from Tropical Storm Erika, Make It Happen.
Your sports highlights coming up next.
In cricket action in the first test at Galle International Stadium saw Sri Lanka with 484, West Indies with 66 for 2 in 21 overs. Bravo scored 15 runs, not out. Samuel 7 not out in 21 overs on day 2 of the first test match against Sri Lanka. Brathwaite was taken by Hirath after contributing 19 runs. Hope scored 23, only to be bowled out by Hirath in the first innings. West Indies trailed Sri Lanka by 418 runs with 8 wickets remaining in the first innings. Meantime, day 3 of the first test match between England and Pakistan. So Pakistan with 523, 523 for 8 declared, and England on 290 for 3. Cook contributed at 168 not out. Root 3 not out in 110 overs. England was trailing 233 runs with 7 wickets remaining in the first innings. In more cricket news, the West Indies women's cricket team will face the Pakistan women's cricket team in St. Lucia on Friday for their first one-day international. President of the West Indies women's cricket team, Carol Wilby Maxwell, says she's confident that the team will perform well at Friday's game and secure 6 points for their team.
Very, very important series because there are 6 points up for grabs. If they get those 6 points by winning all the 4 ODI matches here against Pakistan, they'll be second in the ICC ranking. These girls are eager, these girls are hungry, and knowing what is at stake even gives them more appetite to go out there and make sure that it is done. They have an opportunity to do it, and I'm telling you, they're raring to go.
In volleyball, 2 volleyball teams to represent Dominic at the Nausicaa Beach Circuit in St. Lucia this weekend. The male team comprised Jan Flora, Dion Vidal, the female team Zaidu Henry, Zaidu Henry and Marcia Gustav, who will compete against teams from St. Vincent, St. Kitts and other countries at the circuit. The squad forms part of the indoor national team and represented Dominica at the World Qualifiers in July. President of the Dominica Volleyball Association says the teams need to keep playing and winning, since doing so improves their ranking as they accumulate points to access better competition outside of Dominica.
It was very, very taxing. Actually, they were the team that plays the most games, and they were very impressed with them because, basically, again, it's based on our ranking because we have not been participating in so many beach volleyball tournaments. They were ranked really low. So as a result, they had to play a number of games per day. I think it was like 4 or 5 games in one day, whereas other teams like St. Lucia played 1 game a day and had to be resting. So that significantly affected their performance, though they did well.
The athletes are expected to play on Friday, Saturday and Sunday and return to Dominica by Monday. And in domino action, Thursday night we'll see the semi-final of the Kubuli Chebisau 3-hand Domino League. Game 1 will see a face-off, including teams such as Martian, Barbie and Giants. Game 2 will be held on Friday night, where Attackers will take on Homeboys and Call for Duty. The third game, also on Friday, will see Hurt Them Simple and 007 clash in a domino showdown. The second quarterfinals held Wednesday night saw Homeboys with 81 doors in Game 1. Game 2 culminated with Call for Duty leading with 75 doors. Green City and Rabbit Hole are out of the league since they are the lowest scoring teams. That's all the sports for now. Join us tomorrow.
Your weather report is next.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. We'll start off this evening with today's infrared satellite imagery, which showed a low-level trough just east of the Lesser Antilles, which should influence the weather conditions across the area during the next 24 hours. We'll now move on to today's visible satellite imagery, which showed occasional cloudy skies across Dominica during the course of the day. Meanwhile, today's radar imagery indicated a few scattered showers across the island. Tonight's weather is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with a few scattered showers. These conditions are expected to persist into tomorrow. Sea conditions tomorrow: slight to moderate in open water with waves peaking near 5 feet. And looking ahead, occasional cloudy skies with a few scattered showers are expected into Sunday. A gradual reduction in wind speed is also expected, which will be accompanied by an improvement in sea conditions. And across the Lesser Antilles tomorrow, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a few scattered showers are expected across the entire chain. And on the international scene, sunny conditions are expected in New York and Beijing, thunderstorm activity in Miami and Caracas, and overcast skies in London. The sun will rise tomorrow at 5:57 a.m. and will set at 5:45 p.m. For further information, visit our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a good night.
That's news, the headlines again. The UN to provide emergency support for Dominica's agriculture. Recent heavy rain triggers resurgence in Black Sigatoka. And Dominican students at UE campuses in the region receive post-Erica support. Let us know what you think via email at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our Mapping News YouTube page. On behalf of the production team, I am Lorraine Graham Carter. Thank you for watching.